Madam Speaker, the American people have spoken. They have fired you and have chosen to end the Democrats' one-party rule throughout our government. The days of this chamber being treated as Pelosi's house instead of the people's house are over.
Here we are, folks. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It's Hump Day, Wednesday, and boy, have we got some Wednesday's woes to consider. There's a lot of SHTF things going on out there. I want to thank you for coming here. Thank you for sponsoring the show by being a subscribestar.com or a preparedmind.club member. Whether you go to one or the other, it's always just $2 a month to sign up, to support the show, to join us live daily and promote freedom, liberty, and the American way. Some people donate more than $2 a month, but that's the minimum, right? And that'll get you in the door, and you can join us live every afternoon for the, half-hour monologue and a half-hour Q&A, where your questions come at me unrehearsed, unscripted, out of the blue, and I show you that I can deal with this shit because I am as prepared as I can be. I spend a lot of time doing it so I can share my concepts, thoughts, ideas, and perspectives with you, and I appreciate the fact that you do the same with me. So let's do it. Let's get into it. What do we want to talk about? Well, let's just start right here. I've got a list about a mile long. Now, we've been listening and hearing all about FTX. That's this cryptocurrency company that took everyone's money and give me your money, give me your money. We'll invest it for you to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. Some estimates up over $100 billion. Who knows? Because we can't get the fucking truth out of these people. Right? What they do? They spent $50 million on themselves for some hotel rooms, some first-class airfare, and room service, orgy snacks. Well, it turns out now that FTX says $413 million worth of cryptocurrency was stolen. Stolen. How? I mean, seriously, how? This is just the tip of the pinnacle of the fraud mountain. Just like the government shows us very, very little of how bad they screw us over. This is what's going on with FTX, folks. It has been demonstrated and in court shown that they take money from investors and send it over to Ukraine, washed it, and sent it back. Now, is this a joke or is this real? You get to decide. The whole show is just one big giant joke, folks. We're just satire. We don't know nothing. We're too stupid to understand the brilliance of Washington Democrats and Rhino Republicans. But yeah, here we are. Washing money through Ukraine and then sending it back to politicians. I mean, it is incredible. FTX. They just had people's investments stolen. So on paper, they thought they were doing great. On paper, they thought they were going to be rich. Unfortunately, the, shall we say, middleman was treating this like a bank. Literally, folks, a piggy bank. Okay, yeah, people gave money to them. They said, oh, yeah, we'll invest it for you. But they opened the back door and let the money out. They opened the back door and let the money out. In addition to having $413 million worth of cryptocurrency stolen through their little failed scheme, there's some more to it. There's a lot more to it. More details, more money, more theft, more fraud. Folks, FTX has detailed that FTX executives, that means a bunch of millennial turds, they could borrow billions. Folks, not $100,000, not a couple $1 million, but billions of dollars. They could borrow billions of dollars from their customers with no collateral. What does that mean? It's not like they said, look, I need $100,000. I've got a $200,000 house that will, you can lien it, right? It'll be part of it to pay it back. That's the guarantee. Collateral is the guarantee you'll pay back money that's borrowed. They said and allowed themselves at FTX the ability to borrow billions from their customers with no collateral. In one instance, $250 million was used to buy property in the Bahamas. They're treating this like it's a fucking piggy bank. How to get free money, folks? No payments required. Just do crypto banking for fraudsters 101. Sign up at my school. Isn't this incredible? But see, he's not just a cryptocurrency fraudster. He was given cover. He was given credibility by the government. Sanctioned by the government, that's right. Gave the blessing and the okay, and off they go. They enter the exchange, people send money, they treat it like it's something real. Meanwhile, it's a fucking piggy bank and a money laundering scheme to get dollars to Democrats. When is something going to happen? Folks, the woes don't continue or don't end. They continue. They do. We have a problem in our country. We have this huge, beautiful United States of America. And when you look at a political map, it's mostly red. But the urban areas seem to be blue, strongly blue. And there's proof now that there's mental retardation by a majority of voters in these urban culture societies. An example, or no, let me rephrase that. A more current, a super current, a brand new example. A fucknut Democrat Minnesota lawmaker, guess what she wants? She wants menstrual products in boys' bathrooms in every school in Minnesota. That's how brain dead these people are. I mean, they're that stupid. Men do not need menstrual products. Even if they're pretending to be a girl, they don't need them. So is this so girls who are pretending to be boys can get menstrual products in boys' bathroom while they're pretending to be boys? This is how retarded they are. It's unbelievable. These people get elected by others. They stand up in front of their constituents, people that think like them, and say, I think just like you, and I want this stupid shit. And they vote for it. That is how seriously deranged, immoral, and out of touch these people are, folks. But they exist in large numbers. There is going to be a culling of the population. The stupidest amongst us are going to, well, eliminate themselves. They aren't going to need us to do it, folks. They'll do it to themselves. They will line up and give themselves the Jim Jones juice until they're blue in the face and out of breath, dead. They're going to cut off their own genitals as quickly as they can and destroy their ability to procreate. Now, what you and I have to do, get this, folks, what you and I have to do is we have to stay out of their way. We have to convince them that we don't have to play their game while they go about killing themselves and offing themselves and sterilizing themselves. We just have to make sure they don't do it to us while they kill themselves and remove themselves from the population. I just thought about that. I'm just like, wow, these people are really out to kill themselves. Fuzzy Fork says, stay away from traveling by air. Yeah, no shit. And I want to thank John N. for a nice donation to keep the Prepared Mind channel in check, and a very happy birthday. Thank you. Okay. So there's this fuzzy fork thing. The Federal Aviation Administration has very quietly indicated that airline pilots in the United States, that their hearts are damaged by the Jim Jones juice. That's right. Do you think it's just airline pilots that have heart damage? Or do you think everyone who takes it is getting little, medium to high heart damage? Who knows who gets how much? Who knows how long it's going to take for it to completely play out? I mean, does it take, some people, their heart explodes like day one. Others, it takes a week. Others, a couple of months. We have people continuing to keel over from the Jim Jones juice. It's taken a couple of years. How about 5 years? What happens at 5 years? Do people, are their hearts like Swiss cheese? You know, the super rich, they know better. What did we read just the other day? Well, a former commercial pilot says, hey, guess what? They're hiring us, the unjuicinated, to fly their planes. That's what the super rich want. They don't want people who are stupid enough to take the Jim Jones juice again and again and again and again. They don't want a pilot who's going to keel over while he's flying the plane. Unbelievable. It truly is. Unbelievable. Now, by the way, back to the stupid people who want to put menstruation products in boys' bathrooms. These people are sick. There's absolutely no question about it. Now, I'm going to read this story to do a couple of things. I want people pissed off so that you send those emails to your congressman that I've said, this is what you need to do. Tell them to follow their oaths, leave us the hell alone, right? Acknowledge the Constitution, acknowledge the Declaration of Independence, and do their fucking jobs and leave us alone. Anyways, I've got another great example of how sick these people are on the left. Now, the details have been released about a gay activist couple's crimes that were committed against their adopted sons. Now, I refuse on this channel to detail the crimes, but the word gruesome is insufficient to describe what was done to these young little boys who were innocent. They were put in the hands of this gay activist couple who turned around and did the most awful things to them. Right now, what does it matter that this is a male gay couple, right? Who are activists for their lifestyle, who have adopted children using the Rainbow of Love banner to dispel any criticism of them and what they're doing. And then they commit the most heinous and serious crimes. Right? How much more of this crap has to occur before these grooming, minor attracted person, and pedo activists are removed from the protected class of society? Right? Criminality shouldn't be protected. Mental illness shouldn't be protected. Right? These sick, perverted people shouldn't be sheltered in a protected class where they can't be criticized. They need to be criticized as a class of people, because most of them, these fruitcakes, they are sick in the head, and they're pretending to be pious, moral examples of people who are just a little different. How many stories do we have to hear about drag queens touching children and having children touch them? How many stories do we have to hear about teachers? And how many stories do we have to hear about trans going screwball and assaulting people, assaulting them, their friends, sexual crimes, deviancy? How much more of this do we have to tolerate, folks? It's unbelievable. It truly is. It's not just a form of retardation. It is evil on parade. It truly is. It truly is. There need to be more people standing up to it, because it's part of the same attack. Okay, now, for example, and I'm gonna relate this back to war. In war, you use guns and bullets. You also use hand grenades. You also use what? Right? Short-range missiles. You use tanks. You use airplanes. You use satellite photography. You use cannons, right? Howitzers. You have all of this different array, plus psychological warfare. So warfare isn't just you going out there and beating someone on the head with a club. Warfare is incredibly complex, and there are many, many ways and tools and weapons. These freakish perverts out there, they're just one of many tools, and you can't ignore any of them because they all have the effect of destroying America. So I'm not going to pretend like they're not there, because they are. Now, we need to stand up to all of it and talk about all of it. Right? So I don't allow people to stand in front of me, not on social media and YouTube, but in my real life, stand in front of me and tell me it's just fine. Oh, it's just fine. Well, what about that example? What about that example? What about these fruitcakes over here? Don't tell me it's normal when it's not. It's not normal. In fact, they attack normalcy. They attack you by saying, well, you're a normie, right? You're a trad. It's a traditional person. You know, they're non-traditional. They're non-normal, yet they want to be accepted. Talk about a contradiction in logic. Okay, so we all need to stand up and say no more of this shit. So I've got an example of just that. Now, you and I, we're just little teeny people. We don't matter. No one knows who we are. We walk down the street, and for the most part, we're just totally anonymous. We have nothing to lose by telling people, hey, this stuff is stupid. It's not normal. It needs to stop and go away. But what if you were a celebrity? What if you were in the public eye? What if your actions were visible by tens of thousands of people every time you stepped into the sports arena? Well, a Philadelphia Flyers player boycotted his bullshit woke team's Pride Night, and he refused to wear their LGBTQ warm-up jersey. Good. The grooming pervs and freaks don't deserve special recognition nor approval, because they're demonstrating that the more they're out in the public, the more we see and hear and find out that they're grooming kids, abusing kids, using kids, and just outright showing us why they should have stayed in the closet. I mean, if that's your lifestyle, hey, have at it. Don't involve kids. Don't involve the public. Don't use media to try and promote your weirdo ideas to everyone else. So yeah, so this Philadelphia Flyers player, I think I'll give you his name because it's important. It really is. Ivan Provorov. Oh, yeah, guess what? He's a devout Russian Orthodox Christian. There it is. He decided to stay true to himself, true to his faith, but he's got everything going against him, right? He's Russian playing hockey in the NHL. He is Orthodox Christian, and he's a white male. He's not afraid to be who he is. Why is it that to find the most American people in sports, we have to look to people who are from other fucking countries? Because America is at the forefront of selling their souls to be liked by other people. I don't give a shit who likes me. There's a few people in my life that like me, you guys included. And that's good enough for me. I don't need the world to like me, and I don't need to have the world only support me because I accept these freaks. No, thank you. Now, speaking of freaks, let me switch gears with you. Go to the White House. And Jean-Pierre, that's right, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House spokestwit, says Republicans are, quote, threatening to kill millions of jobs and 401k plans by trying to hold the debt limit hostage. Yes, folks, she is that stupid. And there is no cure. There's no treatment. And there is no pill to help her be less stupid. Threatening to kill millions of jobs. If the government doesn't get funded with your tax dollars, who loses their job? Government workers. Well, they don't lose their job. They just don't get paid for a couple of days, maybe, hopefully. And their 401k plans, they're not totally destroyed. They just don't get paid into for a couple of paychecks. The government, I wish, would learn to live within its fucking means. You don't get to keep raising your debt limit. See, they even give it a sound. We're going to raise the debt limit. How about if you don't raise your spending limit? It'd be like you going, well, I'm only making 10 grand. What I need to do is I need to spend more. I need to raise my allowable debt limit with the credit card company. And so they keep doing that. Let me ask you this question. How much money do federal government workers pay in taxes? What percentage? Some people say 10, some people say 20, some people say 30, some people would say 50%. You know what the actual number is? 0. Because they're not productive. They don't make anything. They work for the government. The government takes money from you, gives it to them, and then they give a little bit of that government money back to the government again. They're not really losing any of anything created, because government employees don't create anything. They don't create a gallon of gas. They don't create a gallon of milk. They don't create a dozen eggs. I want to thank Penelope for telling me how much money she's making selling eggs. Just enough to pay for their feed, which is also outrageous. Anyways, right? Government workers don't produce mined materials. They don't produce finished products like cars, washing machines, televisions, widgets. They don't produce anything. Seriously. So they're not really taxed. They're told you get paid 80, but you only get to take home 50. And they're like, I just paid 30,000 in taxes. Why not just say government worker? You don't pay any tax, and here's 50. But they want to make it sound like government people are participating in paying for the system. You're actually only paying into the government system and the country if you are producing something, adding value to products, performing services that other people find valuable. I know it's a rather obscure topic to consider. Where does the money come from that the government gets? If the money comes from the government, that's not creativity or productivity. So getting welfare from the government, you go out and spend it, you're not helping anybody. You're just putting more money into the system. You're just contributing to the inflation. I know we've all got to live and eat, so I get it. But, right, say you make a machine. You make a machine that creates silverware and pots and pans. You're creating products. You're buying steel. You're buying other metals to make alloys, to make pots and pans. You're buying machinery, stamping machinery out, creating this stuff, putting it in packaging. Printing companies are involved. Shipping companies are involved. Salespeople are involved. Everyone's adding something to the product to get in front of the consumer. That's money. That's productivity. But Jean-Pierre, little Kareem, says Republicans are threatening to kill millions of jobs. No, they're just going to stall those jobs so the government learns to stay within their means. Now, on the other hand, do you think Kevin McCarthy's really going to make the government live within its means? I don't think so. This is all kabuki theater. It may as well be bukkake theater for all those idiots in Washington, D.C. Woo! Oh, in case I hadn't mentioned it, get your questions down below so Uman can grab them. And when we get to the second half of the hour, you guys can have your questions up on screen. You can enter them anonymously or you can use your name. Either way, right, your question will go out to the masses and they'll get to think about it. Now, interestingly, folks, people, when they see your question on the screen, they treat it differently than just a topic that I bring up, because now they get to read the words. They get to follow along and read the words and think about it. The written word that's visible along with the thinking and hearing, all those things combined to make it a much more powerful statement than just me blathering. So you are going to have a huge impact on humanity. Do you want to participate? Are you ready to put your thoughts out there? People don't have to agree with you for you to be right. They don't have to disagree for you to be right. They just have to think the exercise of thinking. Interesting stuff. Now, I read this article today. The article said, Ukrainian troops land in America and are going to start training at a military base in Oklahoma. And I thought about this. I thought, yeah, okay. How does this fail? How can this work? I went there first, believe it or not. I was like, okay, you can take these troops who have been basically trained by knuckleheads, ill-equipped, and you give them real training with some more experienced military. Like, I don't think Ukraine was down there in Afghanistan and Iraq and actually getting some trigger time and understanding, military strategy. They're fucking Ukrainians, right? They're a bunch of Nazi battalions, the Azov battalions, a bunch of idiots that have been committing war atrocities against Russian nationalists who lived in formerly Eastern Ukrainian areas. In fact, Vladimir Putin, old Pooty there of Russia, came out today and said that the consequence of what's going on is they're gonna have to win the war. That's what's going to happen. To stop the slaughter of people in Donbass, Eastern Ukraine, they had to engage in this act. Very interesting. Now, back to the Ukrainian troops in U.S. soil. I thought, well, if they get training, and that'll keep them from, that'll keep maybe their odds of victory a little higher. But then I thought, what's the negative? How is this going to fail? Because by and large, government programs, government thinking fails because they don't think it through. So I said, we're going to invest all of that time, all of the funds needed to train these Ukrainian troops, and then send them back to Ukraine. So you got great troops all trained up now. They're gung-ho. Yeah, I learned all this stuff, right? And then you go put them back under the control of stupid military strategists in Ukraine who are going to use them as cannon fodder and just run them out in front of Russian troops to be slaughtered. It doesn't matter how well you're trained. If you're just put out in front of somebody with a cannon, they're going to blow the shit out of you. So now we're investing more time, more energy, more money, and training these people so they can be killed in gruesome ways. Unbelievably stupid. Unbelievably stupid. Now, this story came up while we're on Ukraine. This was incredible. Today in Ukraine, a helicopter crashed. The crash resulted in the deaths. 15 people were killed, including top Ukraine interior ministers. That would be the same as cabinet level people. So imagine if a Biden helicopter crashed and a couple of people from the Pentagon, a couple of people from the State Department, a couple of people from the FBI, a couple of people from the Justice Department, right? A couple of people from the IRS, right, died. Top people, top bureaucrats, top cabinet members. That is what occurred in Ukraine. And is being portrayed as an accident. Was it an accident? Or was it shot down by Russia? And they want to hide it because they're being stupid or brazen. Could it have been shot down by, well, friendly fire? That is, unfriendly fire from the Ukraine Azov battalion. Could they have shot down their own helicopter? How about this? How about members of the Ukraine government shot down this helicopter because it was full of their political opponents, and they're tired of the absolute corruption and misery caused by the Zelensky regime, and they're tired of it. Now, a story like this won't make headlines in the United States of America unless it is to explain away any guilt, any, shall we say, espionage, right? They want to call it an accident so no one says, hey, that seems there's a reason, another reason. So my question to you is, what could that reason be? Was it Russia? Wouldn't they just love to say it was Russia? Or did they do something really stupid? Was it an accident? Right? Was it friendly fire because they're idiots? Or was it friendly fire because they're political opponents? I don't know for sure, folks, but I don't buy the mainstream story that a Ukraine helicopter killed 15 people. And that included some very powerful Ukraine ministers. Well, let's do this. We have crossed that 30-minute threshold, and it is now time for the Q&A, question and answer. Get your thoughts in. Get them into Uman now, and we're going to talk.
Are you ready?
All right. Uman says we got some good stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. The World Economic Forum, a panelist came out and said that the United States of America will soon have, quote, illegal hate speech laws. I tell you what, I hate elitist scum. I hate them, for real. Fuck off and choke on a bucket of bugs and buttholes. Those people suck. What they don't want, folks, is criticism of who they are and what they're doing to us. And we need to stop being afraid of them and letting them scare us. All right, man, who do we want to put up first, man? I'm gonna make you the guy in charge of that. It's that time, folks. It's that time. Here we go. Oh, well, Uman's going to start it off. He says, yesterday, big banking regulators stated that some big banks may face breakups. Today, the stock market took another plunge. Wonder if him and his buddies took their profits before making that statement. You can bet your ass. You can bet your bottom fucking dollar. They don't just sit down one morning having a cup of coffee or breakfast tea, some English breakfast tea, and go, we need to go out in front of the microphones today. And I've got an idea. Let's say we're gonna break up the big banks. Yeah, let's say that. Let's say it. Who votes for that? And then they're like, right? And then they go out and do it. No. They talk about it. They plan it. They all make the decision. They want to get behind the same story for the same reason so they can justify it. And then they go out. But before they do that, yeah, folks, this is days, weeks, or months in the making. Policy. It's not law. It's policy, which means it's politically motivated. And that also means there's a financial component to it. So yeah, the stock market was climbing up. Hey, they get up here to this. They're like, let's just fuck it all up. So they say shit and the market goes down. So they sold high, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to let it trickle down until it's all leveled off, and then they'll buy down here. So they make the difference. They make the delta, the difference between where they sold at, say, 34,000 Dow and bought back at 32,000 Dow. They did pretty good, don't you think? How brilliant is that? In fact, we know that Nancy Pelosi and congressional members have been doing that for years now, and they've been allowed to do it to influence banking and business decisions. But first, invest in those companies that are either going to benefit up or get sacked and go down. Yep. That's how they do it. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, you say wonder if him and his buddies. I know you're being facetious, Mr. Uman, but yeah, we know the truth. These people always make sure they benefit. All right, and let's see, who do we want to throw up there next? I think we've got some good stuff. Hey, I think I saw that one already. We got Mikey G with a question. And he says, Suspicious Observer's YouTube channel is Super Doomstream. Talk of micronovas causing pole shift and major flooding. Is this for real, like Noah's flood? Well, I'll tell you what. I've listened to Suspicious Observers back when I was married, as Lung Duck Dong would say. Married. Yeah. That would have been way back in 2013, 2014, right? And he's been talking about sunspots and holes in the solar corona. And yeah, he's got a bit of doom going on there. And he wants us to be prepared. I understand that part. And I say, yeah, you should be prepared for a potential, right? So keep your radios, invest in a Faraday cage. And I'm actually more worried, not so much about, well, a supernova hitting us, because if that hits us, we're just going to all be a bunch of crispy critters anyways. But I'm not worried about a mass coronal ejection as much as I'm worried about an EMP bomb hitting us, right? A man-made electromagnetic pulse weapon designed to destroy our electronics. But yeah, micronovas and how about this gamma ray bursts or gamma ray belches that sterilize life on the solar facing side. It's interesting. Suspicious Observers, really an interesting channel. I learned a lot about space weather and the electric universe. But I'm more worried about human activity than solar activity or galactic activity. Human behavior we can predict. It's predictable. We've been predicting it and watching it for the last 10 years right here on this channel. And we can do something about it for the most part. Get prepared. Anyways, Mikey, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Doom porn. I don't try and do doom porn. What I try and do is show you guys facts. I've got them listed out in front of me here. Facts, not conjecture. If I'm going to conjecture all over the screen and the microphone, sure, I'll tell you, hey, here's a theory. Here's an idea. Here's my perspective. But I give you facts, right? And we'll just call them satire. Anyways, yeah, Suspicious Observers, interesting channel. Don't take it to heart too bad. Do what you must, though. You have to come to your own conclusions, decisions. Oh, man, what do we want to do next? And we got do stuff with Nikki. She says, funny, in conjunction with this bank crap, Putin predicted collapse of the US dollar soon. And I think 20 or more than 20 countries have already abandoned the US dollar. In heart attack. In addition, Putin, is quite proud they have substantial gold reserves amassed now. They've been prepping for this. China, India, Germany, France, to name a few, are in on that. We're in trouble. In conclusion, Nikki says we're fucked. For years now. But let me back up. 5 years ago, you and I would have sat here and discussed how Russia has U.S. treasuries. That's right. Russia used to invest in America. They would buy U.S. bonds, which is a dollar equivalent. They supported funding the American government. Same with China. China bought bonds. Isn't that interesting? And they call that, they're loading up on dollars. Those have a dollar value, and then they can sell those bonds or spend those bonds or trade those bonds, for oil and other things. But Russia decided to de-dollarize. That's the expression that's frequently used, de-dollarization. They're selling and have been selling. Russia's like, you want to treat us like garbage? We're just going to sell off all of our treasuries, all of our bonds, and we're not going to buy more. Rutro, China has been doing the same thing. What have they been buying, though? Instead of buying bonds and U.S. treasuries, they've been buying gold, and a lot of it, by the tons. Andy Scheckman was on Dunnigan Kaiser's channel on Tuesday night and talking about private money and what they're doing right now, how much gold they're buying off of the COMEX. They're buying contracts to take delivery. The gold and silver is being sucked out of the COMEX, sucked out of the London bullion market, and is going into private hands. Meanwhile, folks, the Bank of Japan is continuing to buy all of Japan's debt. No one's investing in Japanese bonds. No one wants them. Japan has been kaput for a long time. The U.S., the United States government out of Washington, D.C. is doing the same thing. The Federal Reserve is buying and investing and financing this government. Nobody wants U.S. dollars. They're buying their oil using rubles and gold, or Chinese yuan. Right? They're trading amongst themselves. The U.S. and their little buddies in the banking cartels around the world have decided they're going to kick Russia out of the SWIFT system. Right? We don't want you in our system. And they're like, fuck you then. We'll just start our own cross-border payment system. And they did. And it works. And their systems are going. Not that they're great, folks. Of course, they're going to say they're just fabulous. They're doing fine. None of these countries that blow money, that steal money from the people and steal it out of the economy and put it in places that aren't necessarily productive, right? Paying a bunch of government employees to produce nothing is never, ever, ever good for an economy. The bigger government gets, the worse the country gets. It's like a seesaw. We need small government, happier people, better freedom, better run country. As government grows, the people get fucked. Bad, right? It's so simple. Government doesn't produce more goods, value. It just regulates taxes. It regulates and it taxes. So Russia, yeah, they're like, you know what? They're now laughing. So what is helping the Russian economy? What is helping Putin buy gold? People are buying Russian energy at ever alarmingly high increasing prices. Russian natural gas, Russian oil, Russian uranium, Russian coal. They're making bank on it. In fact, they're selling it to other countries like India, who then turns around and India can sell back to Europe. So the Europeans feel like they've washed their hands of that evil Russian carbon. Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. And speaking of carbon and coal, turns out, folks, that the admittedly mentally impaired climate activist and demonstrable idiot, the climate brat, Greta the Grinch Thunberg, that arrest that was made of her, turns out that it may have been a staged bullshit stunt. Okay, then, if that's the case, what purpose did it serve? Who benefited from it? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a bunch of twits, all of them. And the Oscar goes to not her. Anyways, I think Nikki has got a point. We've got big trouble, folks. They want to break up the banks, they're saying. The banks are too dangerous. Last week or the week before, the FDIC had one of their meetings. Someone took some video of one of their meetings and released it publicly. It was a private meeting. But this is what they do in private. They have frank, honest discussions about how they're fucking things up. But then they get in front of a microphone and lie to everyone, say everything's fine. Okay, we don't want to tell anyone, but we don't have enough money in the FDIC to insure people. So if there's a banking collapse, they're fucked. And the banks will have to take the people, the depositors' money, and do bail-ins. Because the federal government doesn't have any funds or, shall we say, collateral. They have nothing, right, to bail out the banks with again. That is how bankrupt this entire system is. I tell you what, maybe I will grab some of my construction credit cards that I still have from when I was a general contractor in California. And why don't I go out and charge them $50,000, $100,000 in debt? and then wait for the banks to collapse and then say, well, if they can just discharge their debt through bankruptcy, then I will too. And then I've got $50,000 or $100,000 worth of stuff. Well, number one, I'm just not that guy. And number two, I don't know if they're actually going to collapse the banking system. Is it going to be next week, next year, or next decade? That we don't know. So we can't make that kind of move. We can't plan it because, as Uman has brought up, and many others also, is the system operates until the people in charge of the system decide to say it no longer operates. They can go into debt, folks. They're at 30 trillion. They could push it to 100 trillion. Why not? Why not? Why not $200 trillion? But it's when they say, and they stand in front of a microphone and go, we're having a banking crisis. We have a liquidity issue. The banks are failing. And then, right, they cause it to happen. They cause the panic. They cause people to sell their stocks. They cause people, right, to run. The banks fail. They confiscate all the funds. They call in all their debts. They call in their mortgages. They call in their credit card debt. They call in their automotive debt, right? And everyone suffers. Right? The system works as long as they want it to work, and the system fails as soon as they need it to fail or want it to fail. You and I don't get to choose. So, yeah, playing this game where I just go out and I just rack up a bunch of frickin' debt, that's not it's not a good plan. It's not a good plan. So I don't recommend that to anybody. But don't worry, right? Those in the know, those who sit down at the table and go, okay, this week, is this the week? And they're like, no. And so they come back next week and they're like, is this the week? And they're like, no. And then they come back and they're like, sometime in the future, someone goes, is this the week where we collapse the banking system on all the American people and fuck them over? And everyone goes, yeah, it's time. Let's do it. And they're like, okay, it's now time. What story are we going to use? And they come up with a story and the plan. They sell off all their stock. They take all their profits, whatever it is they need to do. And then they get in front of the microphones and go, America, America, you are screwed. That's what they did in 2008. Hank Paulson shows up in Congress and goes, yeah, we need a couple $1 trillion to give to the banks, or there's going to be blood in the streets tomorrow. Wow. Crazy. Okay, Uman, what do we want to throw up here next? Oh, we got the Charlanator. Handmaid's Tale equals 15-minute cities for cleaner environment. The underlying story is birth rate is a global issue, cleaner living to help increase fertility and health. Fertile females kidnapped and made to be handmaids to help increase the population. Between the 15-minute cities and reports of decline in birth rates globally, China and Russia, it's starting to make me think. Is that it for Charlanator's comments? Okay, I'm going to go with that. Now, this story, this handmade, birth made, baby making, baby machines, it's actually an old story that's been around. In fact, there was a movie, and I think it's 30 years old, starred Robert Duvall. And in this story, it was kind of a dystopian, screwed up planet story. They were having, contraceptive issues. Right? Women couldn't get pregnant. And if they were found to be fertile, then they were taken, sequestered, put aside, and they were bred intentionally to have babies, except they were breeding them to men who were sterile, right? Because they were the powerful guys. They're like, well, I'm going to be the one that breeds these women. Well, yeah. So what the women would have to do is find men who were fertile and get knocked up so they quit being used as sex toys by these perverts. And shit like that. Yes, but when we look at the birth rates, Charlanator, what is causing them to go down? Well, for the last 40 or 50 years, what have they been doing? Pumping more and more chemicals into the water streams, into the food streams. Right? Remember when RBST wasn't known about? Right? It was hormones that cause cows to produce more milk. And they're like, oh, it's fine, except the hormone was going into the cow and then into the milk and then into little girls and causing 8-year-old girls to have large breasts, 10-year-old girls to have large breasts, right? Way before their time and way bigger than they should have been. And then they were like, well, maybe we ought to back off on that. But what else have they been pushing? Soybeans, soy meal, soy milk, soy oil, which is called vegetable oil. And I really doubt that the soy is a vegetable, but silly me. It's full of plant estrogens. It's loaded with plant estrogens. Soy is. It screams estrogen. And so what do we have now? Soy boys. Right? When they started noticing sperm counts were lower about 25 years ago, they started saying, hey, men, you need to stop wearing those tight jockey shorts. You need to wear some things and allow your onions to get cooled off down there. Well, if you're a soy boy and you've got shriveled up onions anyways, you're not going to be producing a lot. And now, what are they doing? Oh, I forgot. Birth control pills. Yeah, that fucks women up bad. Yes, it allows them to be promiscuous little hoes, and God bless them for that. But hey, it also causes fertility issues. And then we get to today. Today's world now has the Jim Jones juice, which is causing all sorts of menstrual problems for women. It's being noted that women are having a hard time carrying to full term. A lot of, sadly, tragically, right? A lot of stillborn babies, a lot of miscarriages, and they still don't quite understand what it's doing to men's nut sacks. But we do know people are dying left and right from the Jim Jones juice. They want depopulation, folks. They're going to get it. It's happening. It is on. If you think chicken eggs are expensive, wait until we get to the point where they start trying to determine whether or not, human eggs are what they're worth. Or how about this? Untainted, unjuicinated male sperm, right? That stuff's going to be like gold. It's gold, Jerry. It's gold. Yeah, there's going to be trouble, folks. It is not going to be a world. There's not going to be a world like we grew up in for our kids and grandkids. And they know it, right? I've talked to my son about it, talked to Lucas and said, hey, dude, really sorry. I did what I could, fought like hell. But, it's coming. A lot of trouble is coming for us, especially for you guys and then your kids. So that's the battle. That's the struggle. Okay, Uman, what else do we got out there, man? Well, Uman says, looks like it's Microsoft's turn today. They announced that they will be laying off 10,000 employees. Now, wait a minute here, man. I had other numbers. Well, no, I didn't. I thought I had other numbers. Now, I figured Microsoft did not want to be outdone by Amazon, but apparently Amazon kicked their ass as well. But still, Microsoft laying off 10,000 employees. Folks, recession is here. Right? Chief Goon Powell of the Federal Reserve. That guy at the Federal Reserve, he's still in denial. There's no problems. We just have to cool this heating market down and stop inflation. That's what he's really worried about, inflation. How about jobs? How many people got laid off by Amazon? Wasn't it 18,000 or was it 16,000? Just like that. Bam. You show up at work, they're like, get the fuck out of here. It's a lot of fucking people. Right? Let's see. Yeah. 16,000 people. If there's 100 cities, well, that's 160 people. Are there 100 people at every city? I'm sorry, are there 100 cities or are there more like 500 cities? 18,000. Thank you. I think that was Jolene. Anyways, or was it? How did someone get my prepared mind thing up there? Anyways, ooh man, he's taking credit for it. Yeah, it's amazing, folks. How many people in every city had to take it in the shorts because Chairman Powell of the Federal Reserve, he's decided, he's determined he's going to crush the economy to save the economy. In order to read what's in Obamacare, you have to vote for Obamacare. In order to find out what the Jim Jones juice will do to you, you have to take it. No thanks. Life is just fine without it. All right. Ooh, man, what do we want to do next? We're running out of time. Hey, it's Michael Brown. Hey, dude, how are you, man? He says, John, one of Zelensky's cabinet members resigned and called him an idiot yesterday. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. Thank you, Michael. One of Zelensky's cabinet members resigned yesterday, called him an idiot yesterday. And was he on the helicopter that crashed? What a coincidence if that is the case. Any way you look at it, folks, yes, Zelensky's own people are calling him an idiot. Folks at the World Economic Forum, all of those white old fossils. I'm Henry Kissinger. He's decided he's for the Ukraine war now after being against it. Fuck it. Let's just go for it. Right? All these old fucks. Right? They know Zelensky's an idiot and he's a puppet. But yeah, if you're in Ukraine, you can get shot, thrown in jail, have your bank account frozen, have your wife and kids taken from you. Yeah. Let's hear it for Mr. Democracy. Let's hear it for Mr. Democracy, Zelensky. Times Person of the Year. How about times Flaming Skinny Jean Wearing Fruitcake of the Year? No, it's too much competition in that category to give it to him. All right, let's move on if we shall. Uman said we got a few more and I'm running out of time, so let's zap through these. Uman says Supreme Court has turned down emergency request by New York firearms dealers to block the new gun laws. So no 18 in stores without parents. All guns are secured in safes. Turnover records to the government. Law enforcement officers on demand. Yeah, there you go. Supreme Court saying, you know what? Go ahead and infringe all the fuck you want on that Second Amendment. We don't care. Now, Bonnie Blue says Representative Matt Gaetz has introduced the Abolish the ATF Act. Once again, no one is perfect, not even Matt Gaetz, but that's a fucking hell of a good start right there. How about abolish the IRS? How about abolish Merrick Garland? How about abolish all communists? How about making communism, socialism, and anything that is anti-liberty minded illegal? Just unbelievable. They're using our own government and constitution against us by accepting and using all of those rights for themselves. But once they destroy them, they're like, hey, fuck it. We don't care because we now control the government. So fuck you and your rights, America. That's what totalitarians do. So get rid of them. Abolish the ATF. That's a hell of a start. Is that it, Mr. Uman? Did we make it in time? Nancy Cake checks in and says, question, who is the best cook, John, Uman, or Nikki? I don't know. We've never had a cook-off. We've never sat down and played Iron Chef, which I think would be really fun, right? Someone introduces a secret ingredient and we all get 1 hour to make a dish and hopefully it doesn't taste like dog shit. I enjoy cooking. Nancy, I don't know. Uman makes some very good stuff. Nikki is quite chef-titudinal herself. But typically, if someone else says, I'm going to cook some good stuff, I just say, fine, I'll get a drink and let you cook. But I do enjoy dabbling in the kitchen. And tonight I'm thinking of some turkey spam, maybe some pork and beans with some gourmet ketchup. And a big green salad, folks. No edamame, no soy. Anyways, I really appreciate the question. Cooking is important, folks. Learning to cook your prepper food is very important. Don't say, well, this shit cooks itself. It doesn't. And you need to have a lot of spices and things to make that food taste good. You really should. Right? Having a 50-pound bag of rice. Thank you, Uman, and thank you genuinely, Uman, for all your help. A 50-pound bag of rice will sustain you, but the psychological impact of having shitty food or the same food day after day after day will kill you. It really will. It'll kill you. So have a variety of foods, have an ample quantity of staples, rice, beans, corn, etc. But spices creates a variety of flavors, and potatoes, different consistencies, right? Potato flakes, potato powder, potato slices, whole potatoes. Food, folks, right? What's on your plate for dinner? So learning to cook with this stuff is important. Become a good cook. You don't have to be a great cook, but just a good cook. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Are you fully prepared? And aren't you glad you're a prepper, looking around at all the bullshit that's happening? Buying that powdered egg that I bought. I think I bought 4 cans of powdered eggs a couple years ago. I was like, what if there was an egg shortage? Voila, ici, here it is. All right, folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Semper Fi, Godspeed, and I'll be back with you 0 dark 30 in the morning.